And now Kentucky Chamber President and CEO Dave Adkisson will take the podium to tell us about the Chamber's goals for this year's legislative session. Dave is now entering his fourth year as president of the Kentucky Chamber. Those of you from Western Kentucky may remember him from his days as mayor of Owensboro. He also worked for a time with the Owensboro Chamber of Commerce and with the Birmingham, Alabama Chamber of Commerce. Please help me in welcoming Dave to the podium.
Thanks very much, Bill, for doing this for us this evening. You add a lot to the program, and we appreciate it. Darby Turner is doing a fantastic job this year as chairman of our chamber, and we're growing and doing well, and we appreciate his leadership. I want to compliment Sam White with MSI Production Services, who did this he invents these backgrounds for the Kentucky Chamber. Isn't that fantastic? I asked him, I said, do you wake up in the middle of the night with these ideas? And he said, yes, he does. So he brought that to us tonight. Tonight, there are over 200 local chamber representatives here in the audience who have come from Paducah to Pikeville to be with us this evening, and we appreciate them very much. On a personal note, and on a note from the Kentucky Chamber and our Board of Directors, I want to recognize and thank Jody Richards for his 14 years of service as Speaker of the House and his distinguished career. Jody is with us. He's a fellow Western Kentuckian who I've known for many years, and he's always been a gentleman and great to work with. Even when the Chamber had perhaps a disagreement on this or that policy issue, he was a gentleman, and we value our friendship with him. You know, the state of the economy as well as the state's budget shortfall is on the minds of all of us at this moment. But we cannot let these situations hold us back. We must make progress as Kentucky, as a state, as a commonwealth, even in tough times. To this end, our chamber has enlisted several new folks to help us this year, one of whom many of you know in this room. John Cubine, a veteran state budget expert, is now our senior advisor for budgetary matters and is going to be working with us on fiscal policy. Also, Diana Taylor and Bob Gray are consultants with us and help round out our public affairs team. Our public affairs team is headed by Mike Ridenauer and Brian Sunderland, and several of their team are with us tonight, and we appreciate the work that they will be doing in the upcoming session. When the legislative session concluded last year, our government affairs team, including 6 policy committees made up of business people from all over the state, went to work immediately to begin to put together our 2009 legislative agenda. Most of you as chamber members have received that in the mail. It's called Bold Steps to Advance Kentucky, and we have extra copies if any of you want them tonight. For this agenda, our public affairs committees chose to zero in on 5 goals to transform Kentucky. These 5 goals came out of a project that we did across the state. We held town meetings. We involved hundreds of Kentuckians to submit their ideas for the future of Kentucky. Our Chamber Board of Directors adopted a strategic plan that adopts these 5 goals as our key indicators of where we will be going for the next 3 years. Let me just show you these 5 goals to transform Kentucky. First, number one priority for the Kentucky Chamber, improving the educational attainment level of all Kentuckians. Secondly, modernizing government at all levels. Third, promoting wellness and healthy Kentuckians. Fourth, preparing Kentucky to successfully compete in the global marketplace. Number 5, expanding Kentucky's role as an energy leader. You might say, well, Dave, those are all great. Those are broad goals. What are you going to do about them? What do those mean for this legislative session? And let me illustrate it just very, very briefly here. For example, under the first goal of education, we want to work together during this legislation to minimize the impact of the current economic slowdown and the current recession on education. We want to address teacher pay to reward excellence, and there are some specific steps that we can take during this legislative session, even in tough times. And we want to promote STEM education, that's science, technology, engineering, and math, the things that Dr. Lee Todd, who is here with us tonight, has talked about so eloquently across the state. Under the second goal of government modernization, some steps that we can take. We can reform pension investment structures. We can focus on long-term efficiencies beyond this current budgetary challenge that we're in, and later this year the Kentucky Chamber will be talking a whole lot more about long-term efficiencies within state government. Number 3, under the wellness goal, we can help reduce smoking, and we think the cigarette tax is a positive step in that direction. It's unusual for a conservative business group to be in favor of a tax, but 80% of our members supported that, not to bail out state government, but primarily as a way of discouraging young smokers. We can also reduce the liability on employers. Do you know that in Kentucky we have an unusual law on the books that actually creates liability for employers, so that some employers are uncomfortable in creating wellness programs among their employees because of the potential liability of being sued for discriminating against smokers. And we feel like that law needs to be repealed. Under the fourth goal of encouraging competition within the global community, number 1, we don't need to take steps backwards. We've got a tough situation in the budget, things that will have to be done, of course, but let's don't allow ourselves to take steps backwards in terms of our competitive situation. For example, we've got to monitor the unemployment insurance fund. A lot of people are unemployed right now and deserve to have assistance from that fund, but as that fund replenishes itself, we have to guard that situation. Also, we have to contain workers' compensation medical costs, which are higher than surrounding states. We need to support infrastructure improvements in our state. And the last goal, number 5, energy. We need to support clean coal technology. We need to promote efficiencies, of course. We need to encourage alternative fuels. And yes, we need to explore nuclear in our state. Those are some of the types of things that we'll be working on during this legislative session. Overall, our message during this session is we must make progress even in tough times. You know, there are a lot of companies that are hurting. I've heard some stories tonight even of companies that have stopped making color copies. They've reduced their travel budgets. We're delighted to have over 1,000 people here tonight. We didn't really know what to expect in the current situation. But those companies that are smart are working to improve themselves. They're struggling right now, but at the same time they're working because there's going to be a better day and they're going to be a better company when they come out of this. The state can do the same. The state needs to work now so that we're a stronger Commonwealth when we come out of this. In closing, I want to thank the staff who've helped put together this event. Jim Ford and his team, probably 25 other folks on our staff have helped put together this event. We're glad all of you are here from across the state, and we look forward to hearing from our legislative leaders. Thank you very much.